Hey everybody, I hope you're having an amazing start to your week. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Local Rapport. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited about the guests that you're going to listen to. And if you're joining for the first time, Local Rapport is a podcast where we sit down with the locals of Calhoun County, Texas, and the people in and around in the surrounding areas of this community. Now, I want to remind y'all that this week's episode will also have timestamps and has been video recorded. And so if you go to our YouTube channel at Local Rapport, you will find that this is an opportunity for you to actually see a face to the person that has sat down to be a guest for this week's episode. And to introduce this guest, I'm excited. Her name is Madi. She's a cosmetologist, and she brings a lot of positivity to our community. She's someone that, as I've personally met them, I know that they mean well, they mean good, and I'm really glad that our town here has her as a worker in her profession. And also, I don't want to forget, if you check out the show notes of this week's episode, you'll notice that her Instagram handle and her social media pages are on these show notes. And the reason I want to include these is because it actually lets you have an opportunity to check out her work firsthand. She has her own personal page where you can view her art and what she does stylistically. It's really great, and I encourage you to also check that out too. So again, thanks for listening, and now on to our guest. Okay, well, we're off to like the best complimentary start now. Like now it's like a race who can compliment. and no, I appreciate it. This is fun. This is truly fun, and it's a pleasure, man. I get to hang out with people, really cool people. And and again, before I just continually just add on to this rap sheet I'm building of you, how about you introduce yourself a bit? So your name's Madi, and what are some other things that you would like to let us know about you?
So my name is Madi Consuelo. I lived, I'm originally from Palacios, so I moved here whenever I was about 7 years old. I'm 23 now, so I've lived here for about 16 years, right? Graduated from Calhoun. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I focus on hair mostly and waxing, Brazilian blowouts and things like that. And I've been doing hair for about 3 years now. And I love being in the community. I am so passionate about my career and just, the seed that I'm able to plant in people and, connect with people. And I'm also able to display my art, so that's another, I guess perk of being a hairstylist and things like that. So it's amazing. I've lived here, like I said, for about 16 years, and, just seeing the community come together in ways that we can, through a pandemic, of course, right? So it's
No kidding. But somehow still some connectedness, which is good.
Right. It's been interesting, especially this past year, right? Being from a small town, I guess we've experienced a lot of, I really hate to, describe it as fear from
Sure.
COVID, but,
No, yeah.
Still being able to connect with my clients and connect with the community has just been amazing.
So I want to stay on that a little bit. So you've been able to follow some clients through this time in 2020.
Yes, of course, with some clients, with all the precautions that we're taking already in the
Right.
salon and, making sure that everything is nice and sanitary and stuff like that. There are a few clients that we have to just provide a little extra TLC for, because of underlying health things that might be going on for them and things like that.
Be mindful of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so just being able to connect with them in that way, you kind of start to realize, like, man, everybody is going through it together, but in their own way. So, it's been interesting.
And I'll ask some more questions about like how you got into cosmetology and what that looked like for you in your journey. But to kind of go back, you said you were raised here in Port Lavaca, even though you were born in Palacios. And so, like, where in Port Lavaca are you from? Like, where are your roots here?
Oh, wow. A lot of my family moved here from Kennedy and Karn City area. So
Yeah.
I do have some cousins and family. I don't know the actual name of the neighborhood, but growing up, we called it Little Mexico.
Yeah,
And so, some of my closest family is from there. So,
Right.
I remember just playing baseball and basketball with my cousins, and all the other neighborhood kids and stuff. So I'd say that's where like my roots come from is, in that area. And
Cool.
Just around Port Lavaca, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, you're in the community that you got to pop fireworks, right? Yeah.
We had a blast. We
Yeah.
honestly did.
You didn't have to like worry about like cops showing up and like, all right, no fireworks, no, at least for that, right? You have the freedom just being outside of city limits. I had the pleasure of, I believe it's called San Lorenzo. I could be wrong. It might be San Lorenzo, but I also grew up calling it Little Mexico just because that's what we called it.
Right.
And family had a church there, met some friends, and they schooled me in every sport. Yeah, so there was some athletes that came out of there. That's all I know.
The
because
tough ones come out of there.
yeah, no, you're bred for some good things because like there was like no mercy. Any game I wanted to play, it was like you either get good or you sit down because we don't have time for that. But it pushed me though, so it was fun. I'm not really sure if we have mutual friends or not, but it's cool to know that that's there's some overlap there as far as where you're from. And so you were raised there, went to high school here in Calhoun, and then you came out of Calhoun and you were like, okay, what am I going to do? Right. Is that,
yes.
What was that like?
Oh, wow. Being from a small town, I feel like once you hit that senior year, everybody is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right.
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't feel like I have one of those crazy stories as being a hairstylist. Like, I was handed some clippers and it just happened,
Oh, lightning just struck
yes.
the clipper and you were like, this is my calling.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I was in high school, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I know that I've always been interested in hair and makeup. It's just always something that I think I've done, and that's why I don't think it really...
Oh, interesting.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And I was actually going to go into the military. I was looking into the Army.
Wow.
Because I wanted to travel. Literally, that was it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what I was wanting to do into the Army. And I talked to my sister about it, and she was like, okay, well, that's not something you want to go into confused. And I was like, you right.
Looking out for you. Okay.
Yes, right. Oh, man, I appreciate her. I'd also talked to my brother about it, and, he was in the Air Force. And he was just like, I don't know about the Army, maybe Air Force or Navy, but he also, like I said, was in the Air Force, right? So I think
maybe a little bias.
He was going to be rooting for his team. I get it. And, I talked to my sister about it, and she was like, man, you just really don't spark me as like a military personnel just yet. She really felt that I needed to just kind of continue to find myself and, be planted where it is I was at. And she asked me, have you ever thought about cosmetology? And I was like, nobody is a hairstylist in our family,
Right.
like, what are you saying? And she's like, no, Madi, like, I feel like this is something that you've always been into. Like, my grandmother could not keep me out of her makeup bag.
Oh, okay.
So
they've had hints.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've cut my hair multiple times. Like, let me let you know, they were not shocked that I became a hairstylist, like, in the long run, right?
Yeah.
So I graduated in May, and I tried pulling this, I'll go to school later. I'm going to work for a little bit. And my sister was like, no, you're getting your birthday month, and then you're going to school. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
Man.
My sister and my grandmother pretty much raising me. I hold them so close to me, and I really try to take their direction whenever it is, they're trying to give it to me, because it's all out of love. I appreciate my family so much. And so, they were always just trying to look out for me in that way. And I started going to school for cosmetology, and I went to Manuel and Teresa School of Hair Design in Victoria. And I feel like whenever I was there, I was able to stay at my grandmother's house, and I was able to come home to like a hot cooked meal all the time, and, just a warm bed and things like that. So, a lot of my friends were in college and learning how to cook, hot dogs in a coffee pot and things like that.
Pretty different.
So,
yes.
I appreciated my blessings as they were, even though I stayed in Port Lavaca and things like that. So that's how I ended up, going and doing hair and things like that. I went to school. So.
And currently you work where?
I work at Make Me Chic. It's on Main Street. The owner is Morgan Pfeffer, and man, I feel like anytime our clients walk in there, they feel the environment change. We're very uplifting. We try to encourage, women and showing up and being 100% you, girl, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's great, because I think that's a big play into coming back, right? You know, like
Yes.
you're like, okay, no, it's yes, I'm going to get a great styled haircut and it's going to look great and I'm going to, you know, feel amazing during the week. But then at the same time, it's like, I'm going to have my group of people here that, you know, like I look forward to seeing, likely,
Oh,
I would
yes.
imagine.
It's definitely about your surroundings and, you know,
Yeah.
who you have in your ear, I think, you know? So.
True. I bet it has to feel cool if like someone says, okay, I want Mahdi, right? Wouldn't that feel neat?
It's, oh man, I don't even know how to describe that feeling, you know, just the idea that there's so many artists in the area, you know, that put out so much beautiful work, you know, in designing, you know, hair for people. And the fact that I have this clientele that chooses me every time is like, the loyalty blows my mind. It really does, you know? So, and I appreciate it. Like I really wouldn't be anywhere without my clients and their love and support, and you know, them understanding that, you know, I'm human and sometimes our communication can be a little off, but I mean, I will always try my best to make you happy and love your hair and the way you look. So I'm very passionate about what it is I do.
That's great. Well, and I like that you also said, hey, look, I'm human. Just like, you know, I'm working on you. I want what's best for you. Obviously, you desire good things for the people that are your clients. And then, you know, I like that you also just said, you're like, hey, look, but we'll work on those things too. You know, as you know, the haircut is an experience of itself, or style. Is there an actual word other than haircut for what's going on?
So,
well, I don't want to like minimize it.
I feel like there's just so many different terminologies, you know,
Okay.
and you're going to find your fit. And especially in the hair and beauty industry, I just feel like there's something new every, you know, 5 minutes is what it feels like.
Oh, man.
So,
Okay.
you know, it can be kind of challenging keeping up with all the different terminologies. But a haircut, I just see it as just an opportunity to give a person style, I think.
Okay.
You know, and that style comes from the artist themselves. So, you know, you can get a haircut anywhere, but, you know, that certain artist is going to give you that style, I think, that you're looking for.
Okay. And so in addition to that, that's good, right? Because I you know, me being an average Joe here, kind of like on the outside of, you know, the industry and style.
Corey cuts your hair. I've seen
Oh yeah,
him.
yeah. He did really great. So
Guy
I
gives you
know
some
I need to
style.
go back right now. It's like on record. It's like, hey Corey, I remember you, and I know I need to go back. And he was also one of your like classmates as well.
Yes.
And, okay.
He
so
actually taught me how to cut men's hair, and now I do focus more on women's hair, right? But
Right.
I feel like being in the beauty industry, it can be such a journey sometimes figuring out what it is you're actually wanting to, I guess, like focus on, and, you know,
Right.
also kind of putting together like what it is you find yourself good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, he taught me so many, you know, techniques and things like that on just how to do men's hair and how to make it, you know, just a fresh cut and things. And just his energy is just so cool to be around. And,
Yeah.
you know, he's such a funny person. He'll make you laugh all day long. So it's cool to have him there, you know, at the salon on occasion.
Man, Corey, so he's known as Corey Blunt now, also on Wednesdays, is here in Port Lavaca. And he's a classmate in 2010, him and I, we graduated from the same class and we played football together. There was years where we actually even literally played like side by side. And he put up with me whenever I dropped a play or two, or more than a play or two. And it's just good to see him, you know, like out and about and, you know, making people's day. And no, he loves it. I can tell he owns it. And it's neat to also just know that, like, of all things, right, you know, whether you're from Bloomington, Victoria, or Calhoun, sometimes there's like overlap. And so when I saw that he was cutting hair here, it was like, oh my gosh, like he's right here. So
Right. He's like I said, just connecting with the community and bringing everybody together. Even in the beauty industry, you know, I feel like I've made so many amazing friends that all do hair, and they create, you know, just beautiful work. And just seeing what it is they bring to the community in their own style it's amazing. And he definitely does it. Like you said, you know, he brings his own personal little style to everything. And
so it sounds like that's pretty much everyone's role where you work, right? And you would say in the industry, like it's not just, hey, that's cool. Like, maybe you're an individual that just wants to go somewhere and get a cut and get out. But if you're exploring, if there's probably something the more on the, like you said, there's a style that's going to be your fit, and you can probably even bring maybe some more of the terminology and into the picture too as we go along. But that's an experience that can be unique to you as they connect in places where that is prioritized. And so that's what it sounds like where you work, that it becomes a priority for you to tailor that for the people that you come in as you get to know your clients individually.
Oh, definitely. I do think sometimes we can have that view or mentality on just the beauty industry of like, I need to get in and get out, and it needs to be like this quick, sometimes cheap thing, that expectation is there. And, realizing that what we do, man, I feel like we have like 4 or 5 jobs in one time.
Yes, I agree with you. I would say that is 100% true. You're not just, there's so much, anyway, yes, I want to hear about that.
We definitely talk about everything under the sun with our clients, I think. And so sometimes that can feel like a bit of a counselor, sometimes a therapist, if you will.
Yes.
Mixing up formulations and things like that, making it literally your color. You can make you feel like a bit of a chemist, and, also being a hairdresser, having that style put into the person, and, just adding your own personal flair and touch to it it's a huge combination of things. But, once you find a balance to it, it's fun. It's amazing. It's something that I'm passionate about and I can wake up and do every day. I don't think it takes patience, per se, but I definitely think it takes passion.
Well, passion. You're willing to work on it, right? Like you're wanting to get better because you're also trying to help people express themselves in ways that they're probably new to, so you're trying to pull that out. Like you're trying to like, okay, who are you, right? And then, how can we both work together to find a way to express yourself in a way that's unique to you? So what's your process with that? Like, let's say someone comes in, they're just like, I want to try something new. I'm sure you hear that quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, I'm not sure how I'm going to describe it to you. I have no idea. I'm going to trust your judgment. What happens in that moment? Like, take us through that.
So, oh man, one thing that I feel that I've really found that helps me during a consultation with a client is you can't always match the person, I think, like energy wise, I guess, if that's the best way I can describe that. Because sometimes I have clients who come in and they are just going through it. They come in so flustered and just in a rush and they don't know what they want. Oftentimes, a haircut or a different hairstyle, it can be a huge life change for a lot of women. I think we take a lot of that life change out in our physical appearance, like you're wanting to do something different in your life. And so you want to look different while you do it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
So, I try to just remind my clients who kind of come in flustered or just not knowing what it is they're wanting to do. We have to look at like the starting point of where we're at. Okay. Of course, right? Like, so I think that would be my first step of like looking at where it is we're at, talking about like the history of your hair, kind of what it is your hair goals are, like what you're wanting to go towards, and really just coming up with a plan, for you that fits your lifestyle, that fits your budget, that fits your routine, how fast or much time do you have to get ready in the morning? Personally, as a hairstylist, with all the pandemic stuff, a lot of my clients wanted to kind of go more towards like a low maintenance kind of look. And so
that makes sense.
Understanding that as a stylist, like, girl, if you want to be low maintenance, like I want to keep you low maintenance, So
we got our pandemic cut right now.
Oh, quarantine cuts were a thing.
Quarantine cuts. That rolls off the tongue better. That's funny.
And so those were pretty interesting. Yeah, I got some panic calls and I was like, okay. And that's what I mean. You cannot match people's energy sometimes because they will call you like, I look crazy. And I'm like, okay, let's just take a deep breath.
Yeah. Like, can you breathe with me for a second? All right. Now we
And
can do
so
something.
then we go into yoga instructor, it's a job that's that can be very, very flexible. So, and
Yeah.
what it is you're needing to give your client, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, I really just try to kind of take that into consideration. So there's a lot of aspects that I think I take in from what my clients are wanting to go towards, like their goals and things like that, and
Right.
just how I'm able to get them there. I try to keep a very like positive outlook on what it is they're trying to do. I feel like how it is you look, it goes on how it is you feel. If you wake up in the morning and you get dressed and you do your hair and you do whatever it is that makes you feel good, skincare in the morning, whatever that is, you walk out into the world feeling 100%, and you're able to give the world 100%. So I think
Right.
it's amazing that I'm able to help people do that,
Yeah.
and make them look and feel their absolute 100% self. So
Yeah. That's so good. And maybe that could encourage a few people listening if they have yet to like venture out, and like gone the personal route of saying, okay, we can take control of our style, or, and of course this is coming from someone, I apologize. I'm not the most, I not that I'm going to give style advice. That's why we have Mata here, but we have people in our community who are engaged, and they put in the work to make sure that they can work with you, and having you be as feeling you are, tailored, and personalized style is something that's a priority too, that you can bring into the picture. If it has yet to be something that you've tried, there's people out there who can make sure you're on the right path.
definitely, we'd love to make you feel 100% you.
Yeah. And going back to, there's something else that you touched on. You said that you guys talk about like everything under the sun, obviously for confidentiality, and this being a small town. Like, I'm not going to say, give me an example, because
Oh, no.
chances are,
As a
it's like, wait, I
hairstylist,
know
I
exactly
wouldn't.
who she's talking about. But can you like also walk me through like what happens if you have someone that they made an appointment for a haircut, right? And they sit in your chair, and or they're obviously like not present, but they're kind of like following through, like, oh yeah, I've made this commitment to get a style, and now I'm sitting here, but there's something wrong. Like, have you been in that position where you're just like, man, this person needs to talk, or do I just let them be? Like, where does your role also come in whenever that happens?
Well, like I had mentioned earlier, I get to, as a hairstylist, I meet all sorts of people,
Right.
and a lot of times, they're from other places as well. Being so close to Formosa, we have people
Oh
that
yeah, that's
come
true.
from all over the place. So like I had said earlier, being a hairstylist, you're not, it makes it a lot more challenging to match every person's energy. And so,
That's right.
I guess laying down a foundation for myself, in what it is, I guess I'm swayed by was super important, just because I am talking to so many different people. And so I hear all sorts of different things, right?
Yeah.
So I really try to just have a positive message that I'm able to plant in my clients. A lot of times my clients come to me with, oh man, you name it, like it's been spoken about, like problems and, also pick me ups and things that they're going through and struggling with and things like that. So I really am one to try to just give them a positive message and, make them realize that, I know it sounds so silly and small, but like doing your hair, like that's a huge transformation for a lot of people. It gives them something different to look at whenever they're looking in the mirror, and it's literally themselves, right? And so just, I guess, planting that seed of like, hey girl, this is the first step of you
Okay.
making whatever transformation that you're trying to do and trying to go through and trying to make happen. And, I really just try to lift them up and stay my positive self, I think.
Right. It's starting to internalize a little bit more by what you mean by matching their energy. So I appreciate you bringing that back into the, that does answer, that question of like realizing like, hey, look, this is who I am, and I'm experiencing a lot of different walks of life, lots of different people. Okay, I'm not going to be able to match every individual one and kind of probably, meet them all exactly how, they may be presenting themselves. But here's what I can drop into them. And so there you go. That part of you that's very positive and uplifting and, true to you form. That's what you want to pass along to them, as you have that time with them, right? This is short time, and you're hoping they have a great day. You're hoping that they're having a great life, and so you drop some of that positivity onto them. That is something I also want to tap, into. You value being encouraging. That is something about you that I see up at the forefront, right? And for you, I mean, what led to you saying, you know what, it's totally worth it to invest being a positive person and also being a positive influence to other people? Like, yeah, what's flipped or switched or turned into making that something for you?
Oh, wow. I think that really goes into just the examples that I grew up around, which, I come from a family who can kind of be heaven or hell,
Oh,
would be the nice way to say that.
yeah. Lots of families around here are just like, oh, amen. Yeah, no,
So,
I feel ya.
I guess seeing some of the examples that I grew up around really kind of helped me just slow down and be a little more observant of how it is I'm wanting to do things and live life. And, I hold, this really close to me, but, blossoming where it is you're planted is so important, and sometimes
That's good. That's a good phrase or statement there.
thank you. And sometimes like whenever we're planted around people that, don't make the best decisions, and, sometimes those decisions can affect other people around them. It really kind of helped me make that decision for myself of, the world is just so big and there's just so many people that, I can meet and that I have the opportunity to meet. So really just kind of going out and connecting with community, has really, really helped me, kind of make that decision of, I want to be a positive person myself. And I also want to be surrounded with positive people, that whenever, like I said, I am human. And so we have those times where we're just down and, not feeling 100% ourselves. And so, being around those people who uplift me and, remind me of like all of the great things that I'm capable of doing, it's life-changing, and it's infectious and it makes you want more of it. And so I just figured, if I'm going to be around people and doing things like within the community, I want to have a positive attitude about it. I feel like it's...
I love that.
Thank you.
No, that's great, because we need that. If there's, anything that we want to be contagious in our community, it's positivity. And you are in a very upfront role.
Thank
where
you.
you're directly encountering people. So I'm glad that that's what you want to impart to them. Hopefully they can do the same, right?
Yes. And like I said, smiles are contagious, like you share one with one person and, I really hope and pray that they're able to carry that with them and give it to another person. So, if we're able to spread anything, hopefully it smiles, right?
Yeah, that's what we want you to leave with, is a smile, not anything else that's infectious. Maybe, yeah. No, that we're, like you mentioned as well. You've experienced the side of life that made you value wanting to be intentional about being uplifting and encouraging. And so, how does someone who is, like, I would say, right, just outside looking in, genuinely positive, I would say, hey, Monty's really fun. And you said you're human. So I want to just so like not everybody thinks we're robots over here that never frown or never cry or never, have frustrations, right? Because we obviously do. You know, how do you like redirect like some of those things that probably try to like quench, that joy that you are experiencing or trying to like, feed into every day?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, like you said, we're human
Okay.
and, we go through these seasons, we go through these waves, whatever it is you want to call them, right? And I think positive practices have really, really helped me. Sometimes I have these, urges to just be by myself and be alone. And, sometimes
Yeah.
it is
Oh
good
yeah.
to be by yourself and have those moments of,
Right.
solitude where you just kind of make sure that your thoughts are your own and things like that. One thing that really has helped me personally, I love to work out. I love fitness just in general. I love
Yeah.
being outside. And I think being here in Port Lavaca, we're surrounded by water and, beach and stuff like that. And we're able to just get that little chunk of nature and that fresh air and, working out and getting that vitamin D outside and just,
Yep.
getting those endorphins moving and stuff like that. So I think working out has really, really helped me. Coming to Parkway, I think being in community and just having the word in my life, has transformed me in countless ways. And so, just positive practice and surrounding yourself with positivity and love and, realizing whenever something doesn't or is no longer serving you to let it go, and realizing those, I guess, times like in the season that you need to let them go So I think just positive practice has helped me.
So you would probably, like under positive practice, if you would like to impart that to someone else and say, okay, that includes overall health and wellness. So it's like you have your spirituality, you also have your physical wellness, your mental wellness, community connection, relationally, how you're connecting. And then also you use the word solitude. And I was glad you used that word because there is a difference between solitude and isolation, right?
Yes.
So how would you define the difference between the two? Just through your experience so like, no, solitude is healthy. This other one, maybe not so much.
So, oh man, and I feel like I've experienced both.
Okay.
So solitude, I feel holds much more of a positive outlook on it.
Mm-hmm.
It has more of I like to call it more like time with God, time with like myself and, making sure I'm able to just kind of step back and like analyze like my life and what's going on, like who it is I have in my life, like what season I'm in and things like that. I try to do a lot of like reading and writing, I'll get into some plants and things
That's
like
amazing.
that.
That's
So
good. Yeah.
I try to fill my solitude like with positive, practices, like I said, positive things to do.
Right.
Isolation. Oh, I am not myself whenever I am isolated. Like I just feel that I am mean and crabby and just,
That's
to
going to be more
myself.
loathing that's involved with isolation, right? Because it's that, well, I need some me time or I need some time, like we could define it however we want, but then it's really good to be intentional by being able to identify some of those markers because you can go like, okay, that is true. Even me, I'm a social person. I enjoy being around people, but after a certain point, I'll pop. And so it's healthy. Yeah, it's like
your time.
I need time to pray. It was really interesting. I had a class, and they had, of course, I have to define my classes. I went to a school, and I was a ministry major, so some of my classes were ministry related. One of these classes emphasized solitude. And man, that was like torture for me because it was actually like, that was like a project. Like you had to spend like X amount of hours in solitude, like detached from a phone, detached from you can go to a walk and go to a park, but to pray, to reflect. And so with like solitude, there's more reflection, right? It's more introspective. It's more like, it's very committal with the time and it's purposeful. And I squirmed and wiggled through all that because it was like, I don't want to be alone. I'm scared to be alone in my thoughts. Like, this
Isn't
is
it
why I
a scary
distract
thought?
myself, And so it's, now isolation, right? You're detached from people. You could still be on your phone, or you can still be on Netflix, or you can still be on, so it was like this. I'm glad that is part of you said, positive practices, right? And so I just kind of wanted to pick that apart a little bit,
Of
because
course.
it is good for people, I believe, to kind of hear the difference between that, because some people can hear that, oh, solitude or isolation, they may think like, oh, okay, she's in her room
Netflix
in
binging.
Netflix binging. Yeah, and really you're doing a lot more than that. Like, you listed like 7 things almost just under solitude, you
Yes.
know.
And I feel like they're, all uniquely in their own way, ways for me to just become more in tune with myself and, like what, God has planned for me and things like
Right.
that. Sometimes I'm really able to hear like what it is he's trying to tell me and in moments of solitude, just because I'm able to step back and, just really think about things that are going on,
Yeah.
in the current season
Yeah.
that I'm in. And so, I've had during April and whenever the salon was closed and things like that, that
Right.
was a big combination of like solitude for me. It was really interesting because I'm still single, right? But I was single, and I was living on my own for the very first time. So that's whenever I feel like I really learned the difference between like solitude and isolation. I
Okay.
was there like on my own for a really long time, and so I was like, man, it's okay for you to feel your feelings, like your emotions and things like that. Sometimes you just need to cry it out, but it is not okay for me to sit here. And so,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to find more positive practices to do like during that time, instead of just sitting and worrying about like COVID. And, I kept myself informed and everything,
Sure.
but
Oh yeah.
it was just one of those things that, I had to really like learn how to be in solitude, I think.
Right.
So,
And thanks for sharing that. No, thanks for sharing your experience, because I think it's good for us to hear, especially during a time like this where we're still having to be mindful, and some are still having to quarantine. And so they may be home alone, they may be away from work, and sometimes it's really easy to kind of distract yourself and let the time pass instead of capturing it almost, and allowing yourself to process things and evaluate where you're at. And also, there's health benefits to it too.
oh,
And
so
so
many.
and that is something, and that's part of your story, I feel like, is your ability to capture this intentionality about taking care of yourself. And so I know you brought up working out, so I now kind of want to move that direction. I mean, so for
Totally.
someone who works out, I mean, how have you creatively been able to do that during this time? And then also, what are some places here in Calhoun that you find yourself gravitating to working out at?
Oh man. So, I mean, I know Port Lavaca is just so small, but like I said, we're around so much water, and
Right.
I just feel like the water brings this calm, like this
Okay.
calmness that you can just be in and around. And I feel like that really helped carry me through my workout journey without being able to go into a gym. I'll be honest, whenever I first started working out back in 2016, I started going to the YMCA, and I had switched over to Anytime Fitness. And, I kind of go back and forth now.
Sure.
And, but whenever both of those gyms were closed, I found myself at the Lighthouse Beach. I found myself at Magnolia. I found myself really just anywhere that I could, just kind of run around and, find a spot to,
Right.
I had to really slow down, and not having any equipment. I had to start doing a lot more like body weight stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, that really kind of took out the excuse of like, oh, I just like doing weights, So
Yeah. So you were someone that enjoyed the weights more so at the beginning, or is that what you were saying?
I will say like I did enjoy them. I just don't think I made a whole lot of progress. So,
Okay.
I think I was just stubborn at the time to slow
Yeah.
down and be like, okay, girl, you have to do this cardio.
I see what you're saying. Hey, look, that there's a lot of people that wear that. So I feel you there. Okay, thanks for defining, because that then kind of made you like look at what you had available and say, okay, you know what, now it's time, for me to embrace cardio or me get creative without weights here, especially if you're at the
Definitely.
beach, I would imagine. So
And
neat that you're
so,
drawn to the waters. That seems pretty fun.
yeah, it's been, great being able to just continue to be outside. I mean, there were times where like I would be out at the beach and I would go for a run and work out on like a yoga mat. I actually started using this app called Workouts for Women.
Okay.
It's a free app that I found on the App Store, right? I was just kind of scrolling through
Yeah.
different ones, and this one was free, and it was all body weight stuff, things that I could do like at home or literally anywhere.
Yeah.
So, that was a really neat find, and I've just continued to do that. Sometimes I find myself kind of over being indoors, and working out on the treadmill. So,
I
being
feel you
able
there.
to, just continue to go outside and just get that fresh air and things like that. Sometimes I'll just go on like a nature walk. I'll find a trail sometimes in another little town
I probably
surrounding
can't
here.
ask you where they are because you're like they're so nice and they're great, but maybe we don't want to crowd it full of people. I don't know. It's like give away your secret spots. Like,
I'm
so
like,
exactly where
no,
are
go
your
get that
paths?
vitamin D. Go get
Yeah.
that fresh air.
Okay.
Everybody needs it. It's free. Go get some.
Okay. Well, that's nice that you're generous then. You're like, I enjoy the because I mean
Maybe not in a huge group, right? Like,
maybe not in a huge group, right? You're like just stagger. As long as you don't go during these times, we're good. No. That's good. It's good to know that we need to capture what's available to us. And man, I'm so bad at that. I live here. I've lived here for 2 years now. I know if our longer residents of Calhoun are like, dude, you just barely got here, man. But I mean, I did grow up around the area, but I mean, I get asked this all the time, especially my friends who live far away or, other states, they're just like, dude, you're probably at the beach all the time. And it's like, oh man, I need to embrace
take
some of
advantage
the
of
cool
it.
things that we have. Like you said, for
Yeah.
free. It's just the sun, the vitamin D, the water,
The endorphins, all of it,
all
and
of
it
it.
comes with so many benefits, you start to look good and feel
You
good.
start to,
And
it snowballs in a good way.
definitely.
Man,
And, I feel like it's really important to remember all of these things are done in moderation. I feel like a lot of times
good.
whenever we start to look at fitness and wanting to be healthier and living more positive lives, we tend to think like, oh man, I got to do all this stuff like right now. And, remembering to just slow down
Right.
and, okay, where am I at? Like, what season am I in? What can I start doing like today in
Right.
little doses? Nobody always does something. It's literally impossible to literally always be doing something.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I try to remind people that like it's important to listen to your body, and and really use your body, and like you're given this vessel for free as well. So
Yeah.
we should be able to use it and love it, and have those positive practices. It really snowballs, like you said, in a positive way.
So in addition to all these things that makes up Madi, I have to ask you, like, how's it been like for you? And not that this needs to, I don't know, become I'm not trying to go the direction of just simply politics or simply, I don't know. Like I know sometimes this can probably go in a direction that's like like, oh, everything sucks actually now because of the climate we're in, but which is okay too, if that's. But I am curious because I guess technically, are you Gen Z or are you still a millennial? I'm so confused right now
Oh
because you were born in
gosh.
'97, so
Yes.
you
I don't think I'm Gen Z. I mean, I grew up watching 90s cartoons. I don't know. Sometimes I even listen to 50s music. I can be such an old soul.
you got the old soul, yeah.
I'm not really attached to my phone, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Like I do enjoy social media sometimes. I'll go on there
sure.
for like workout motivation, sometimes like a fashion kind
Right.
of
But
pointer
I've
and
also
things
seen
like
you've
that.
been able to take breaks when you wanted to, as far as just like, like, all right, I'm just going to put a pause on social media for a while. Like,
Yes,
and then,
and that's just me practicing that solitude. I feel that, sometimes social media can be a platform for absolutely everybody to post
Right.
what it seems like their thoughts, all the time, like they have a thought and they just post
You're
it.
like, man, you could have just left that in the vault,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like you made a whole post, didn't you? Yeah.
look at you, just sharing. And, so I really do try to have that practice in whenever I'm trying to practice solitude, right? Just reminding myself which thoughts are my own. Like I said, sometimes social media can just be a
Which thoughts are
scrolling
my own? That's a
of
good one.
people's thoughts, and so you're able to become so opinionated so quickly
It's
off
a
of other
very good
people's.
insight. That's a very good insight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just try to be mindful of it, I think, making sure that whenever I am on social media too much, to kind of catch myself and, also pay attention to how it is I am, I guess, reacting and speaking to the people that are actually physically around me.
Right.
Because I feel like that can be two separate worlds in the world that we live in today. We have like the physical world and then we also have like the social media world, where
Yeah.
two different things are going on. And so kind of stepping away from that platform and realizing like, hey, I'm actually here physically, and I should also be taking care of what's physically going on around me, and I think that's super important to take breaks from social media so that way you can make sure your mental and physical world is also okay.
Yeah. And so this plays a big part into that the direction I was wanting to go with just asking you. I mean, whatever may fit under this umbrella, but what has it been like for someone your age, kind of like growing up and or at least looking at what your outlook looks like living in today's climate locally or just generally. And I know one of the things you brought up is social media plays a part in that, like the reality of a presence that's going to be online or not as we so choose. So it's neat to see your take on it, because I do feel like that's a very catchable quote or quotable quote, one of the two phrases, but of not everyone's thoughts are your own. And so, yeah, if we're digesting information online and then we start to regurgitate, some of those things and pass it on to people in the physical world in person, that is good to look at it and actually say, okay, all right, are these my own? Am I just parroting, what's
Am I
like,
being influenced by
am I
what it
being
is I'm reading?
influenced? Yeah, no, that is something that's unique to you and your generation or our generation of having to navigate. Like that's a whole nother animal that's something we have to work with.
Definitely. I will say, like, whenever the salon was closed and I wasn't working during April and May and some of May, I actually took advantage of that time. So that was one of my breaks that I took from social media, just because, I'll be honest, like
Yeah.
social media did become a little overbearing with all of the posts from people about COVID and things like that. So that was a little
Yeah.
challenging to, to look at. Keeping myself informed was really important to me, and knowing what was going on. But worrying wasn't important
Sure.
to me. And I feel that sometimes that's a lot of what goes on social media sometimes. So, having to kind of like step away from that and making sure like, okay, hey, am I good? Is my family good?
Right. Right.
How's my relationship with God going? Is this something that I should actually be worried? Should I be giving, I feel like, being worried is paying debt that's not necessarily due, or you're not really sure if it's going to happen. So,
Right.
I know, like I said, I did keep myself informed with COVID and stuff like that and all the updates that they were giving
Yeah.
us. But to just sit on social media and just continuously be worried and scared and, afraid of something, it just wasn't something that I felt would help me in
Yeah.
that time of solitude and making sure that like my thoughts were my own and stuff like that.
Right. So I'm with you there. I'm with you on that, because I felt that burden of like, it's great to be informed or in the know, or kind of like the collective conscience. That's all these people, we get to kind of peek into on different platforms. But at a certain point, right, you're just like, all right, are we just feeding this fear, and what is it accomplishing? Because it is good to be in the know and to be mindful of the realities people face. It kind of presents you with realities that may not be yours. I mean, you may be someone that is living a particular life, and then you see on social media someone has the antithesis to your life, and sometimes that evokes a response, and then some people fan the flames of fears, and it can be weird. It could be so weird to try to find kind of like the take that you're going to leave with, as far as like, okay, well, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to respond in a constructive means, or in good ways, or not? So that, I feel like that is a reality for us, that we do have to navigate. And then also, whenever there's so many things to talk about, right? I think, you touching on like being able to be in solitude and being able to be at peace with yourself. I think that is very good, because that helps us to be purposeful in ways that, so when we're bored, or when we think we're bored, we don't just find things to get us in trouble. So like, let's say if you weren't comfortable with yourself and you needed a distraction, you can easily go online and then, get into some kind of like argument, or, buying into some things that really don't need your time, So I feel like all that kind of plays, and it's good to see how your perspective and your walk in life, I think, prepares you for stuff like that.
Definitely. And I definitely was able to, I think, be a positive light for people who were really worrisome,
Cool.
And also being able to help just so many friends and family, talk to them, be there for them, and just have something positive to fill their ears with was a relief, and you could really see it on their face. After speaking to them, it was really rewarding in its own way. But I think, just kind of keeping to myself for a little bit and making sure that I was able to continue those positive thoughts and those positive reinforcements and things like that, even though things can and are really tough sometimes. It really helped me in multiple ways, and also
For
connecting with people again.
Yeah.
So.
Because you have, I've seen you're wanting to be a positive, even on social media, you're wanting to be of influence there too, in good ways, and we need that. I think everybody's feed, I'm sure most people listening have some form of a medium in which they digest their online, connection, and I'm sure it was refreshing if you were scrolling and you found some things that were positive.
Right,
So,
just that little light just kind of popping up.
like, oh, thank God, a baby picture. I used to complain about baby pictures, but now, like, I'm so glad to see a baby picture now in
Look at that guy
2021 or
just growing.
2020. Yeah. And then, also with your work, because you also posted like workouts and also like just, yeah. That's cool.
Just little ways to, kind of uplift people. And,
Yeah.
I really try to, with my workouts and stuff, I really try to just remind people, you can do this anywhere and it's for free, pick
Yeah.
a spot outside or in your house, get your kids involved, like they have plenty of energy to move around and things like that. And, it's free, just feel goods.
It was, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Well, during the quarantine, when most of us in the county were pretty much staying home to work, I'll never forget our neighborhood. Like, all of us were out walking at some point. Like, everybody was like, I got to get out. I got to get some of the sun. And then so it was just like funny to see. I was like, man, I've never seen this many people in our neighborhood like out walking.
It's
So you
beautiful,
got, like,
isn't it?
yeah, you got like 10 plus families like on a walk at the same time. So that was kind of fun.
It's interesting to see how it brings people together, huh? Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, we cannot be fooled in missing out on what is also true, is that during this time, some people got as connected as have yet to be, So I know through looking at, current climate, you may say like, man, there's a lot of division going on. But at the same time, I'll say it this way, like kind of like in the real world and the families that and the friends that like there's been people that had to use that time in 2020 to reconnect with people and like build bonds. And that is also true. And that really happened, and they're in a better place. I know Zoom stock went crazy up, I'm sure, because of how many people were using Zoom. And I know it was behind a screen, but there are some people finally calling their family members and their friends. They're just like, man, we can't visit.
Zoom conferences everywhere.
Yeah. And they're like, man, I can, we can chat now. And I know for us here, we're blessed here in Texas to be out and about. I was recently talking to my friend in Michigan, and we caught up on the phone a few days ago, and he was a college roommate of mine, and just we stay in touch every now and then. Well, it has been a while. Like the last time I talked with him was maybe March or April of last year when the pandemic was just kind of rearing its head. Well, he just said that they just started having students back in school in person. So in Michigan, I was like, wait a minute, run that by me again? Like, what's going on? He just said, yeah, we just now started having students in person. They've been like at home this whole time. And I'm like mind blown, because here in Texas, it's been really different.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild West over here compared to what they got going on there. Yeah.
That's insane. Wow. I'm sure, it's a, it's its own sign of relief and worry in its own way, right, as kids go back to school. But it's interesting to see, how people are just going through it in different places differently still, even though we're all still going through the same thing. Wow, that's really, really.
Well, and I'm grateful. Like I'm grateful that, because for a while you guys weren't open, like you said. And so that was a struggle. Like I'm sure that was there was a moment of tension, like, okay, are we going to be back, and when, and what is it going to look like? But thankfully you guys were able to reopen, and it seems like, if you can update us now, does it still look like, I'm sure you're having to keep the pulse on the news and with laws and regulations and that kind of thing. Do we still look good for keeping our places open?
As of right now, I think it's just important for us to continuously keep taking the precautions that we have been, making sure everything is nice and sanitary, so that way, we can prevent the spread of the virus and things. It was scary for a little bit. I'll be really honest, now that I think back on it, I was like, whoa, I didn't work for almost 2 months. Like, that's insane, But I think growing up in the late 90s, like my mom was a bit of a hippie, so I didn't really have a phone at a really young age. So, kind of going back to just living how I did, like whenever I was a kid, of just, hey, make sure your bills are paid and you have food, and the rest, stay home and kind of occupy yourself. That was really kind of different to see.
Right.
But I don't know. It's been interesting to see how our clients they've showed us support all like the entire way through. So I think we're just kind of taking it as it comes and preparing for the best and also the worst, in the best ways that we can. I will say, like, the salon owner, obviously everybody was caught off guard by this, so she wasn't exactly how to handle the whole, pandemic thing. But we came together as a team, and, we were just like, girl, we got to get through it. And we're just taking those precautions and, taking it day by day and hoping for the best.
Yeah. And a lot of people had to get creative around here. And I'm, for one, glad you guys are open and been able to keep things going. And that's the hope for everyone here in Port Huaca. We're grateful for every business that we have here. We really are. It definitely feels good, and we're able to support our local, community businesses, so like right now, not that we get paid by endorsements or advertisements, but like, we'll do things like give a shout out to Anchored in Love. I know I probably could have put a name right there, but yeah, coffee. Stop by there for their coffee. They're a local business we love too. And there's lots of places here to support and to like just, as a community, right? If we're all successful, we're all better off for it. Definitely. And I think
being a small business myself, connecting with the community is just so important, in being a small business and, coming together and lifting each other up and, support, like you said, like you really can't get anywhere without just the support of your community and supporting your small businesses.
Yeah, I know. If there's, definitely got to make a plug for that, right? Wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity to say that is going to be, especially for a smaller town like Puerto Vaca, like that's important. Like, we want people as they've, invested time and sweat and tears and most likely even blood, just trying to build from the ground up, their vision and their dream and what they want to see happen here in our town. It needs our support. And man, I know it's so easy. I mean, we as people, we can be impatient. And so, when things maybe aren't perfect, when a new business launches, or even if a business has been around for a while, it's real easy to just kind of tear it down or cut it at the knees or, or put it on blast and that kind of thing. And I mean, I think it's when you are a part of a business or you are invested that you realize you're like, man, like, hey man, whoa, that hurts, like we want to help. We're not trying to like disappoint people. We're learning, we're trying to like, figure this out, if especially if it's someone that's venturing out for the first time. And so, people who are in that, I know you're in a specific industry, but there is some overlap with other local businesses. If you're a part of that and you're in that scene, like you value that any support that you're given, like you hold it to your heart. And when there's complaints or when there's things that are brought up, you go to work, you're like, okay, well then
what can we do?
If that's the story that we have, how can we turn that script around? Then let's change the culture. Let's, and improve things around here. And so I'm happy when there are, local businesses here that are thriving. It's really neat, because we have just different skill sets. I know with the small town, the joke, of course, is that we have lots of Mexican restaurants and, there's things but it's each one though, everyone's unique, the story on how they got there and to provide that kind of service is unique and it's filled with like determination and grit.
Of course. Yeah. One thing that I feel that, like you said, being in a small town, sometimes we have a lot of people trying to do the same things, and like you said, each place is just so unique to in its own way,
Right.
Being a hairstylist, that's one thing I've really had to remember for myself that, I should never be worried about other people doing the same thing that I'm doing because nobody does it the way that I do it. Like I'm going to add my own unique little flair to it or,
Right.
Whatever. And you're going to do your own little unique flair to it. I mean, I don't know if it's to hair, but the way Sam does it,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think carrying that with you and in any industry that you're in,
Right.
there are always going to be people who do the same thing that you do. But I feel as long as you're focused and, you're making sure that your work is yours and it's uniquely yours, you should never be worried about somebody else doing the same thing that you're doing because nobody does it the way you do it.
Very well said. And I'm going to also latch onto that to say, in addition to the Mexican restaurants, they also bring up how many churches we have in our small town, because they're like, man, you could throw a rock and hit a church, just because, whatever direction you throw this rock, there's so many churches here. But like you said, I mean, like my vision or, my dream, of course, and it's not just mine, but it's that of many other people and other ministers around here is to see people connected in a community, seeing people being able to connect with God. And it's one of those, like you said, there's going to be different, there's going to be not just styles, but, there's places you're going to have a different culture. It's going to be unique. Not everyone's going to do it. Not every denomination here is going to do it the same as the other. Not every church, stylistically is going to have the same delivery when it comes to messages or worship. But, you say, well, you look at the community and you say, there's still people that are looking to connect and maybe this is a place and, this is the experience where they feel like they're able to, and so
Definitely.
that's why it's like, even with churches too, I'm very big on like, if all of our churches can be as equipped and if they can be the best version of themselves and their community and their culture as they can be, hey, our town would be better off for it. We got to posture each other up. And it's cool to see that attitude here and just different areas, that we have. Like you said, there's other peoples that are going to work in as a cosmetologist and they're going to be in that industry, but, being true to yourself and being true to what y'all do is good. Same thing with, anything else that we have that there's some overlap. It's like, hey, own who you are and what you do and what you bring to the table. And, we're rooting for you.
Yeah, just be 100% you. And, I feel that being a hairstylist, it brings a lot of attention towards, I guess, that realm in bringing your own style,
Right.
Bringing your own flair to things. And I feel like a huge part of my flair is the positivity,
Right.
a lot of my clients, I love hyping people up to where, I can make them feel that they can do anything they put their mind to, like I know I'm just doing your hair, but like as you're sitting down and you're telling me about your life and your job and your kids and, your goals and things like that. And sometimes a little self-doubt, a lot of the times actually a little self-doubt gets kind of displayed to me and, just flipping that message around, in people, it's carried me so far, and in such a positive way to where I've been able to see the impact that I'm making in people, I've had clients come and tell me that like, oh, I'm just working at this coffee shop and, now the girl's a police officer. And I was able to see that, I'm able to like have her sit down in my chair and, oh girl, I kind of want to do this. Girl, do it.
Yeah. Like you said, you like, all right, we're there. You just got to make that step. Let's do it.
And you got to do it with good hair.
And you got to do it with good hair. Awesome.
So, just picking people up, it's, oh man, I feel like it drives me. It gives me fuel to just continuously keep doing it and picking people up and just connecting with people. One of the biggest compliments I think I've ever gotten was, oh man, you should come in to this girl to do your hair. Like she'll do your hair, but she also lifts you up, and that was something that I think that's going to last with them a lot longer than their hair will,
Exactly.
So.
Exact. Man, that is great. And like, it sounds so simple to say that. That's great.
Great.
But
You did it.
it really, it really is. Like that is a part of, the connection that people can have with you. And I'm glad that's here, right? And I think that's the other cool thing to know. It's like, hey, you can get that here in Calhoun. You can get that here in Port Lavaca. Right here, Make Me Chic. I got the name right.
Yes,
okay,
you did.
Great. Okay, good. You got people that they got your back, and and that's special. So since you are here, and before like letting you go, I mean, are there some things about your industry that you think maybe others can have more awareness about, or maybe some maybe misconceptions or assumptions people make about what you do that maybe you're like, hey, I got a minute, I can clarify some of these things?
Well, I think my industry touches a lot of people and a lot of different types of people. So I think one thing that I would say I get addressed a lot with is, a lot of people think it's just hair that we do. Like I'm just plainly, doing your hair. And I guess bringing the awareness of you choosing your artist here in Port Lavaca, whoever that may be.
Right.
That stylist has so much training in what it is they've, done with their craft and, just to remember that hairstylists, we're human, we have a lot of jobs in one and we do your hair and things like that. But we're always trying our best and we're always trying to stay educated
Right.
in the latest trends. Like I said earlier, it kind of feels like they change every 5 minutes sometimes. But, just know that your stylist is coming up with a custom formulation for you, a custom haircut for you to
Right.
literally create this person, physically that it is you're trying to be, and trying to look like. And, just have a little more patience in our industry, I think, because
Cool.
your hair
That's
goals
fair to
are
ask.
attainable, but sometimes we got to get there in steps. So, having trust and patience with your artist is super important, I
That
think.
trust goes both ways, right? It's
Yes.
that like, okay, to buy in, to know that, hey, this is going to turn out great. If you're kind of there and you're just like, you know, that probably wouldn't help. You got to have to believe in the process. Well, hey, I'm again grateful, that you've been a part of that, here. And,
Thank
maybe I don't know, maybe I'll end with this, but, I did want to, just to kind of give an example, because maybe I don't want to give you, or not give you, but ask you to give specific examples of something like this, because I know it's a small town, but I'll use this example because this happened like a long time ago. So my mom was in cosmetology. So, it was one of those like funny things for me growing up, because she had me and then she said, okay, you know what? Like, I want to be, like full time, as a mom. So I was blessed with that. And ironically, my mom and we like butted heads growing up. So I feel for my mom now, especially now that I'm a parent, because, she, it's not like she didn't want to take care of me or anything, because she did. And I was blessed with that. But when she like hung up the clippers and like she like hung it up, so like she didn't give me a haircut. She didn't do anything. And I have like hilarious stories because of that, of me trying to cut my own hair and, things like that.
She
That
was
just
finished.
didn't end well. She was finished, but I was still able to hear some of her stories. Right. And so, that peeks into what you're working with, because so she was one of those, I think where she worked, it was like, she was like a floor leader or something like that. I don't know. They have like, it could be different at different places, but I think at her time,
it depends on what salon you're working in.
okay. But she told me of a time where there was a soon-to-be mother that came in, and so like just distraught, just all right, we're gonna let's work on your hair, like let's do this. Well, what style do you want? Like, let's tailor that. And it was just like, well, honestly, I found out, I'm expecting, and like I'm on, like, I'm not even on the fence. Like, I pretty much already made my mind, like, I'm not going to keep this baby. Like, and so my mom's like hearing this, like, okay, like, this is heavy, right?
Yeah.
So, again,
Nothing
you're
I haven't
here
heard
with,
before, I don't think.
well, it was amazing that those were still opportunities, because like you said, y'all talk about anything under the sun. For those that give opportunity to do that, you're wearing different hats. You're bringing so many different things to the table. You're going to be an ear. And she never forgot that she just had a conversation with this person. Well, let's talk, like, hey, if you want to talk about it, like, what's going on? And then it eventually led to where, of course, my mom wanting to be encouraging, like, hey, let's give this a chance at least. Let's at least have, let's at least leave the option on the table here, instead of it just like, okay, I'm done. So they had a conversation, and then like months later, the lady comes back and she just says like, hey, I did decide to keep the baby. I did have the baby, wow, and it was actually thanks to you. If it wasn't for me coming in and like having this conversation with you, and if it wasn't just so happened to be you, the person that I was with, and I felt like I could be open and share these things, and I have no regrets. Thankfully I was able to keep this child, and you'll be able to meet her and everything, and it was just like,
That's
I was
so
like,
beautiful.
oh my gosh.
Wow.
Where I'm thinking like, what the things y'all have to do.
It's a lot sometimes, no lie.
I think, yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, like that you are, having to be many different hats and being
and you
present.
have to listen to real life things, like you
Yeah.
hear these people coming to you and telling you these stories, and not stories, but life events,
Experiences,
and sometimes you have to just kind of have a straight face and just listen. You can't be like, oh my gosh, like what? That's crazy. What? Because it kind of keeps people from having that feeling of like, oh, she's not judging me,
Right.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. You didn't ask your question
Oh,
yet.
no,
You were
no,
just telling me about your mother.
that was it. I just kind of wanted to like just emphasize a little bit of that's part of your scope, with what y'all do, and it can easily be taken for granted, I guess, because we come in. I mean, because some people, right? They may just want to be quiet and just chill, and that's their time of just
Just
they got a
silence.
minute in their busy, crazy schedule, and they just want to chill. And then some, depending on where they're at in life, that may be their opportunity to throw some conversations out there and get a feel, or finally maybe talk about some things that maybe they feel safe talking about, where otherwise maybe they wouldn't. And you're in that crossfire sometimes. And so it was interesting hearing that from my mom. And that was one of those things I never forgot, and I'm a chatterbox. So like whenever I go somewhere, I just talk and talk and talk.
You could be a hairstylist now. You'd fit right in.
Right. And so y'all do such a good job at balancing that too. I don't think I've ever had anybody that I've gone to that I was just like, there was no room for communication, and I feel like that's also a special skill you guys have to work on, develop. So
I will
well
say
done.
it's definitely, thank you. I will say it's definitely a balance of just being a clean slate for somebody
Okay.
to just talk to, and I've found myself in parts of life like that where I just needed a clean slate to kind of unload on a little bit, and I just feel that whenever people are comfortable enough to let me, out of all people, I mean, who am I, to let me know like what's actively going on in their lives or what has happened to them in their
Yeah.
lives, that's special, because as another person, like I don't feel comfortable with just letting everybody know my business,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
um, just as another person, like I look for that comfort, and patience and judge free, kind of person to, speak to and let them know kind of what's going on. Whenever, clients come to me and just have a bit to unload, I have to take a second and just talk to myself and be like, okay, this person needs patience and they need love. Like they need like everybody just
Cool.
wants to be heard, like anytime somebody comes in just heavy with stuff on their shoulders and
Right.
things on their mind and things like that, like they want somebody to, you know, talk about it with. And
Yeah.
I feel like with those people, we have to, be careful with them, because they can also be very vulnerable. They can
Sure.
also be very absorbent to what it is they're saying. So I really try to just have a good foundation and good intention with whenever it is I am speaking to people who
Right.
are going through a lot, and just giving them that message of hope, that sometimes God places us in places and situations that we're supposed to pull things from and learn, and sometimes never go back there, like that was
Right.
supposed to be our lowest point, and coming across me today might be that first step,
It may
and
be
and
that. Yep.
you
Exactly.
making that change. So being a hairstylist, I feel that I am given so many opportunities to, just like I said, plant that seed into people, and just let them know that this isn't it. Like this isn't like the only thing that you're going to go through. Like you're about to get your hair done, and this is going to be a new chapter, And
Right.
like I said, I know it sounds so
Kind of like
silly.
commission them off to a little bit of a better, outlook.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I try to share so many of like my positive practices, with my clients and things like that, to help them, and give them just a more positive outlook on, there's different things you can do differently to change your situation. I really try to remind people like you are never stuck. You're never stuck in where you're at or
It's
what you're
good.
doing. Like there's always something you can do to switch it up and do better, and better for yourself and better for your family, better for your kids, your environment. You're really able to, you have the potential and the power to change things around you. It's just you need that one person to plant that seed. Like you really
Plant
do.
that seed, nudge you in the right direction, man. So I'm this is where we're gonna land,
Okay.
on that, because that's just super well said, very well said. For those listening or for those viewing and actually capturing this on or watching this on YouTube, I hope you guys get to meet Madi. I hope you get to see her in the community, because one of the things that I've benefited from her as well is that, I've shared some things, with her where I've said, hey, man, I'm in this funk physically, or, I need to exercise. And she, the whole like practicing what you preach, or preach what you practice. Sorry. That's what she does. No, she preaches what she practices, and she's given me that feeling that you're not stuck. And I love that.
Thank
because I remember, not that long ago, and I was just like, yeah, I feel kind of miserable because of, my lack of being able to do things physically. And you just rattled off like 8 different things that I can do. You're just like, well, hey, here's something that I've done.
They're all free.
And they're all free, and you can do, like A through Z. Here's what you can do. And I know that's what you're also able to do whenever you can impart with people as well. So, having positive practices, realizing that we're not stuck. And I love that you said was it blossoming where you're rooted? I'm probably
Yes.
butchering that. How'd you say it exactly?
Blossom where you're planted.
Blossom where you're planted. That's, I'll say that a few more times so I don't butcher it. But being able to blossom where you're planted is key, and we need people to blossom here in Calhoun, our surrounding areas. We need people to thrive, own who they are, and be successful. And so I'm very much rooting for you, Madi.
Thank you, Sam. I'm rooting for you too.
Thanks. Hey,
I can't wait to see where this goes.
I appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for your time. This was fun.
Thank you. It was fun. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here, and just, man, you do so much for the community as well. I gotta brag on this guy a little bit. I see that you're a family man. You do so much for Parkway, and you're always such a light. Every time you come in, like every time I've spoken to you, you always have such an uplifting message, and you address everything with such patience, and I honestly admire that about you. Like, you're so patient and understanding, and it's an awesome thing to be around and to grow around as well. I honestly think you're a friend that I'll definitely carry with me through life. You and your family and little Micah.
and our little son Micah. Hey, thank you. And again, it just, I thank God, and I think the people He's put in my life. Like, I think He's had people that had modeled that, because that's definitely, for me, it's been a lot of progress and steps, to get where I'm at now. And obviously I don't feel like I've arrived by any means, but it's encouraging to know that, that there's some steps that have been taken that have a positive impact. And, for me, I take that and I'm just like, hey, all right, keep going.
Yes,
if this is working, then, man, thank God that, I could be of help and not a hurt. That's kind of been my philosophy for the past 5 to 7 years. Like, I realized, I said, man, I want to be a help and not harm. And if I can do that for other people, just like some people were that for me, then I'm going to feel very satisfied, fulfilled, and feeling like then I can do some good around. And that's the intention.
Yeah.
So,
hey, it's happening, man. And I see it. It's a beautiful thing what you're doing. And, being from Port Lavaca, coming to Parkway and meeting everybody here, it's been a beautiful thing, just connecting with the community and you guys. And it's awesome. Like, I think everything you're doing is, sometimes it feels like it's not moving or,
sure. No, yeah, that's the reality
anyway,
too.
But, sometimes you can't keep your eye on the scoreboard, like sometimes you just got to put your head down and just keep working. So I think
Right.
it's coming to effect,
Awesome. Hey, one last plug, Make Me Chic. You can find Madi, and also our coffee is not officially sponsored, but we'll act like it's officially sponsored by Anchored in Love. So thank you, Anchored in Love, for providing us with coffee to keep us up and good this morning as we
Moving
recorded.
and grooving.
But moving and grooving.
Yeah, there you go.
And we hope your day and your start to the week is moving and grooving. Thank y'all for listening. And again, thanks, Madi.
Thank you, Sam. It was good to be here.